Breaking news, dun 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 dun. Gervonta Davis vacates his title at 130 pounds. I'm here to talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys throw a like on the video. It goes a long way. Yeah. So information just came out. Gervonta Tank Davis has decided to vacate his title at 130 pounds. I was at the fight where he got the title. You know, I covered that as media for you guys. This is pre-pandemic, and it was in December, right before the pandemic. The pandemic was, actually, that's one of the last fights that I covered live, because as you guys know, I haven't covered any fights live in the pandemic. But for all the content, still hit the subscribe button. So that was December 2019. We would find out in March 2020 that the pandemic was here in America and, you know, changed the way boxing is currently. So I was at that fight, one of the last fights that I covered. Tank beat Yorkis Gamboa in the 12th round. He stopped him to win the WBA. Now he has vacated that title. And this was not surprising at all. This was to be expected. Gilberto Mendoza of the WBA has confirmed this and stated that Tank has moved this. So what does this mean? This means, to me, you know, you guys can get more clarity from Tank when he does an interview about it or whatnot. But to me, this just really means and stipulates Tank's probably done with 130 pounds, making that weight. You know, he's already did what he needed to do, and his body is ready for 135, you know, possibly 140, more fights, basically in upwards of 135 itself, or maybe even higher, just depending on what his team decides. So this makes a lot of sense. Tank's at a point in his career where he's on that precipice of like major, like next level stardom. Like, he's already a star, of course. He's getting the all access treatment. He's lit. You see the jewelry, you see, you know, the drip, having fun. And he has a fun style. Like, watching Tank, I've had the pleasure of watching him live. It's like when somebody tells you about a Tank show and event, Mayweather Promotions and GTD, they're doing the thing, because people typically and genuinely feel like, yo, I got my money's worth out of that. And you look at his last two fights, insanely entertaining, right? Insanely entertaining. Leo Santa Cruz fight, and then also the fight with Mario Barrios. So the kid is a star. A belt doesn't really even define him. Belts are cool, but you see boxing is going through a situation where I think the fans are almost revolting against the belt, to the point where the belts, a lot of these sanctioning bodies, they're non-profit and all this, but a lot of them want to be all in the video, dancing. You know, y'all got to come to death row. And over the years, I feel is watered down the sport, because you can't tell who's who. You know, there's divisions. At one point, this is a true story, the WBC had Teofimo as a franchise champion. They had Devin Haney as the regular WBC champion. And then at that point, Ryan Garcia was the champion. He was an interim champion. So it's like, imagine being a brand new fan, and this is your first time, and you're really just trying to get into the sport of boxing, right? You'd be like, man, what is this? How you got 3 champions? And like, UFC don't do that, right? It would be very hard. Imagine, let's say any other sport. Let's say the NBA. Let's say the Lakers win the finals, but then they said the Lakers won the finals, the Denver Nuggets won the finals, and the Milwaukee Bucks won the finals. So you're like, how do you have 3 finals winner that all, you know, got the same thing? And then to make that worse, and I don't want to segue to a whole nother conversation, is you got certain fighters being marginalized and slandered for their belts. Like, even if they can't get the fight, like Devin Haney, people calling him an email champion and making it sound like his belt is worthless. And Teofimo got the Lomachenko fight based on politics and who he's aligned with. Devin Haney's not aligned with them. He wanted to fight Lomachenko, couldn't get it. So there's a lot of different things. Floyd Mayweather, Actually, it was for Tank Davis Media Day for probably the Leo Santa Cruz fight. He had a rant and he was talking about, and listen, if anybody's going to talk about belts and accomplishments and accolades, it's the man you see on the screen. Floyd Money May, easy work. HBO need to fire your ass. You don't know about boxing. Like I said before, that's that man. He can talk about the belts, just like I'm talking about the belts. We earned that. So Gervonta Davis, I can't wait to see what's next. The new Rey Mysterio of boxing. He doing backflips and, you know, acrobatics after knocking people out. Crazy energy level. It's lit. What does this mean? What does this mean? What is it? That's what the fans want to know. What does this mean? Tank at 35, a lot of great options. Tank at 40, a lot of great options, right? So I can't wait to see what's next. But Mayweather Promotions, they doing a hell of a job. They moving Tank Davis to stardom, like even more. And as long as he stays disciplined, and I liked him training in Vegas for the record. You know, I think Mayweather knew early on. See, people don't give Floyd enough credit, bro. They don't give Floyd enough credit because Floyd, he really understands, he knows boxing. He's cultivated in this sport of boxing. He knows boxing. Floyd, knowing the dangers and the ills of boxing and what that come with, and with the celebrity and the glamour and the glitz, he was able to maintain such an illustrious career and all the while stay disciplined. And he told you things before they were popularized, like drug testing. When he was about to fight Pacquiao, or the negotiations at least, he said, I'll fight Pacquiao, but we got to be on an even playing field. I moved up in weight. I didn't just jump. I just wasn't running through no damn body. You know what I mean? And he started popularizing Olympic style blood and urine drug testing, saying, hey, this commission test ain't cutting it. It's not catching the people. And then everybody hated on Floyd. They said health comes first, Floyd, yada, yada, yada. And then in the end, Floyd was right. Now, if you don't sign up for VADA or clean boxing and all these other programs and stuff, if you don't do drug testing, people look at you sideways. But when Floyd was telling y'all that, y'all said he was scared of Pacquiao and stuff like that. Same thing with Tank Davis. Tank Davis, I think he was trying to get him to move away or train in Vegas outside of Baltimore and his immediate surrounding, because there's too many distractions. And I think there at one point maybe was some type of rift between Floyd and Tank over that, but you look at Tank, he's like entering superstar level plateau. Like he's starting to reach that peak, that pinnacle, that zenith in his career. And his last two camps, to my knowledge, he brought his people out to Vegas. So yeah, get away. Sometimes you got to do what's best for your career. Baltimore's always going to be there for you. You see what I'm saying? But Tank was young, and he's still young. But Baltimore's always going to be there. They're always going to support you. They'll build back. But you see, when fighters stay at home, you get too many people got access to you. They could come to your gym and you lit, and you know what I'm saying? You got cars like this. People want to be around that, and there's just too many distractions, and it takes a mature mind. You don't see, people confuse this. It's not a young mind. Some people are young-minded, but you don't have to be young. Some people are, you ever talk to a kid and they're like wise beyond their years? It's just a mentality. You have to have the mentality of a fighter and say, hey, my shelf life, granted I get no injuries, is this amount of time. I need to do every single thing I could do in this space of time. Because typically for fighters, you got a space of time and a shelf life and a half-life to what you do. Boxing is very unforgiving. So if your window is this, it's hard to make it this. You got to be next level greatness and discipline to make it this. So you got to do everything you do while you're in it. Tank, can't wait to see what's next for him. I've been a fan, still a fan. He's lit, crazy knockouts, but I think he's done with 130. I mean, that Leo, this knockout was crazy. That was crazy. That was crazy. But, maybe not big enough fights there for him, or maybe he wants to give his body a break. We'll see when Tank answers and does some interviews or whatever. But so for now, he vacated. And that's also what is going to happen, because if you're not defending and we're in a pandemic and you have no intentions of going back to 30, you know, these types of things, then it's smart to vacate. So I know some people look at the title and they like, oh, Tank vacate, he's scared. You know what I mean? Because they want to hate. But he has belts, versions of belts in 3 divisions. You got to make a decision on at least one of them. So we'll see what's next. Tank said he should be back before the end of the year, maybe even October. Stay tuned to the channel for more Gervonta Davis and Boxingego. And I'm out. You did.